नारायणं वन्दे कृष्णं वन्दे व्रजप्रियं कृष्णं द्वैपायनं वन्दे कृष्णं वन्दे प्रदास्तं सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्व उत्पत्तिविनाशि हेतवे तापत्रय विनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नमः। व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्मनिधये वासिष्ठाय नमो नमः। यमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं शुकमुखात् अमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः। We are about to conclude the Prathama Skanda of Srimad Bhagavatam. Towards the end of the 17th Adhyaya of Prathama Skanda, after pacifying Mother Earth and also giving reassurance to Dharma, Maharaja Parikshit decides to eliminate the Kali Purusha. Parikshit picks up his sword and gets ready to attack Kali. Parikshit is very clear. There is no room for the source of all adharma to exist in his kingdom. Therefore, Parikshit rushes towards Kali to kill him, and then and there, out of fear, the Kali Purusha surrenders to Parikshit. The Kali Purusha, who was brutally assaulting Mother Earth, who manifested in the form of a cow, decides to temporarily surrender. He surrenders to Parikshit and seeks mercy. As the Kali Purusha surrendered, Parikshit then decides not to kill him. But then Parikshit declares, "Hey Kali, there is no room for you in my kingdom. You do not deserve any place in this kingdom. Na vartitavyam tad adharma bandho dharmena satyecha vartitavye. Brahmavarte yatra yajati yajne yajneshwaram yajna vitara vikyaha." Parikshit says, "Hey Kali, you are adharma bandhu. You are adharma bandhu. Therefore, you do not deserve a place. You do not deserve a place where only Atma Bandhus reside, where only Bhagavad Bandhus reside. You do not have a place in my kingdom. You are Adharma Bandhu. You are source of all Adharma. You do not deserve a place where people who observe Dharma and Satya diligently. Dharmena Satyena cha Vattitavye. In my kingdom, people diligently observe Dharma and Satya. And therefore, there is no room for you to reside here," he says. It is very important to know that when we know who we are, we also know what to love. One should know the truth of who we are and what we love. Many a times, one ends up loving things and using people instead of loving people and using things. Most often, in the way one operates in the society, one ends up loving things and using people. For spiritual progress, one must love Krishna and use the resources that he provides for his service, and not love his resources and end up using him. Parikshit says, in my kingdom, everyone realizes the truth of who they are, and therefore the truth of what they need to love. Dharma is to lovingly serve Krishna. That is one's dharma. And when one realizes the truth of their true nature, one also automatically recognizes one's dharma. Dharmena satyena cha vattitavye. Therefore, in this kingdom, where people are rooted to their dharma, people abide by satya, there can be no room for you, He Kalipurusha. Brahmavarte yatra yajanti yajne yajneshwaram yajna vitara vidyaha, Parikshit says. In this kingdom, where the great rishis, all the experts of yajna, continuously perform yajnas for the welfare of the society, where the Yajna Purusha, the Yajneshwara, Mahavishnu is constantly worshipped through all kinds of yajna. In this kingdom, therefore, where this yajna happens continuously, there can be no room for you, He Kalipurusha. Yasmin Har Bhagavan Ijyamana Ijyatmamurtir Jagatam Sham Tanoti Kaman Amoghan Stirajangamanam Antarbahirvayu Ivaisha Atma. This is a kingdom where yajnas not only performed according to the Vedic injunctions, the performers also realize that Bhagavan Vishnu himself is yajna. Epyanya devata bhaktaha yajante shraddhayanvitaha tepi mameva kaunteya yajanti avidhi purvakam, Krishna says in the Gita. Epyanya devata bhakta yajante shraddhayanvitaha. In the Vedic injunctions, yajna has to be performed to several devatas as per the Vedic injunctions. Krishna says one must realize that every yajna that is performed to all the devatas, eventually one is only worshipping Krishna, who is the Antaryami of all the devatas. He is the bestower of the rewards of all the yajnas. If one does not perform a yajna, knowing this, avidhi purvakam, then one is not abiding by the scriptural injunction. In this kingdom, yajnas are performed as per the injunctions of the Shastras, and everybody knows that the sole purpose of performing yajnas is to please Bhagavan Hari. And therefore, in this kingdom, He Kalipurusha, you have no room. Kali, realizing that there is an existential crisis for him, starts to beg. He starts to beg Maharaja Parikshit. He begs for a place to stay. Kali says, I understand, but can you at least define a place where I can stay, and I shall confine myself only to that place throughout this yuga. And then, after deep deliberation, Parikshit decides where Kalipurusha should reside. Shuta uvacha abhyartitastada tasmai sthanani kalaye dadau dyutam panam sthiyasuna yatra adharmas chaturvida. After considerable deliberation, based on Kali's ardent submission, Parikshit decides to give Kali Purusha 4 places to stay, where he must be confined to only to these 4 places. He says, hey Kali, you can reside, you can dwell only in these 4 places. And Parikshit lists down the 4 places where Kali can dwell. Yutam, Panam, Striya, Suna, Yatra Adharmas Chaturvida. These are the 4 places, the sources of adharma, where you can decide. Yutam, places of gambling. This is a place, hey Kali, you can dwell. This is a place where you can reside. The first place given to Kali to reside in Kali Yuga. Places of gambling of all types, of all forms, of all nature. These are places where falsity and treachery rule. Gambling pollutes our consciousness. Gambling is very addictive. Gambling comes in all forms, subtle and gross. We can easily identify the gross forms of gambling. Somebody betting in a casino, that's a gross form of gambling. But gambling also can be subtle, mental speculation, all kinds of speculative activities where resources are recklessly invested, where insane risks are taken for the sake of unnatural rewards. All of such activities constitute gambling. Now we can easily relate to what Parikshit refers to, where Kali Purusha has to reside. We may think there are only selected places for gambling, and only very few people actually engage in gambling. In reality, most of the people in today's society engage in gambling. Why do I say that? Gambling is nothing but reckless investment of resources, taking insane risks for unnatural rewards. Now, if we reflect on the resources that we recklessly invest, one of the greatest and most important resources, time. Wastage of time also comes under the purview of gambling. Investment of time in all activities aimed at material rewards, aimed at material pleasures. All these activities come under the purview of gambling. Why? Here, unnatural rewards are being sought, taking insane risks, and where resource is being recklessly wasted. The only activity, only investment that yields reliable results are activities around all, or the spiritual activities. Those are the real investments which do not come under the purview of gambling. So therefore, when Parikshit refers to Yuta, gambling for Kali Purusha to dwell, in a way, every other activity where Krishna is not involved, where Bhagavan is not involved, where activities are sought only for material rewards, they all in one form or the other come under the purview of gambling. Where time, we only have limited time on this planet, and that when that limited time is thrown away, That is a form of gambling, which is very dangerous. So therefore, this is a source of adharma where falsity rules, where treachery rules, where truthfulness is completely eliminated. This is the first place Parikshit gives to Kalipurusha. Dyutam, Panam, places where liquor is consumed. Here, liquor stands for all kinds of intoxicants. All kinds of places where all kinds of intoxicants are consumed. So when one stoops low, in order to artificially get high, one keeps falling down continuously into meaningless existence. It is very important to understand that, unfortunately, many are driven by self-destructive instincts. What do I mean by self-destructive instincts? This is common to rich or poor, doesn't matter. When somebody becomes rich in today's society, they are only replacing a problem of poverty with problems of prosperity. The self-destructive instinct is nothing but misdirected engagement with matter, and in order to find meaning and fulfillment in life. What can only be found in spirit. When one tries to find in matter, this is self-destructive instinct. And therefore, Parikshit here clearly says that places where intoxicants of all kinds are consumed, they are causes for downfall. They are causes for people to get trapped forever. And these are places where Kali resides. And this is the second place that is given to Kali to reside in Kali Yuga. Dyutam, Panam, Striyasura, Striyaha. Third is places where lust, perversion, immorality rules. While intoxicants are like poison that kills on consumption, lust kills on contemplation. These are dangerous places which consume people and their energies. Kamayesha, Krodayesha, Rajoguna Samudbhavaha, Mahasharaha, Mahapapma Vikyenam Ivavairitam. Krishna says, Kamayesha, Krodayesha, Rajoguna Samudbhavaha, Mahashanaha, all devouring, insatiable desires. Mahasanaha, Mahapapma, which force one to commit all kinds of wicked deeds. This is enemy number one, Krishna declares. So here Parikshit says, places where lust and immorality rule. Now, many a times, people try to escape problems in life by taking shelter with all kinds of sensual indulgences. It is like the problems in life are like petty robbers. It is like trying to escape petty robbers who are trying to steal, trying to rob our peace and our joy in life. But then what happens is, trying to escape these petty robbers, one ends up taking the shelter of terrorists and kidnappers. While life's problems are like petty robbers, sensual indulgences are like terrorist kidnappers. Very brutal. Who not only kidnap, they keep constantly taking ransom, but they never release. There is no release whatsoever. One has to constantly keep paying ransom without any release. What is the point in taking shelter of terrorists and kidnappers and trying to run away from petty robbers? So therefore, places where sensual indulgences are promoted are the places where Kali Purusha resides. Gyutam, Panam, Striya, Suna. Places where animal slaughter happens. This is the fourth place that Parikshit reserves. He says, Kali, you can reside in places where animal slaughter happens. These are places where humanity starts to border around animalistic behavior. Places of cruelty, untrammeled cruelty. So Parikshit decides to let Kali Purusha reside in these four places. Yutam, Panam, Striya, Suna. Yatra adharmas chaturvidaha, he says. These are the places where adharma rules, and therefore you must confine only to these four places. Now Kali tries to play a trick. Kali Purusha thinks he can possibly play a trick with Parikshit and pleads and begs for one more place to be granted apart from these four. Parikshit thinks over. Then he decides to grant one more place, a fifth place. But Parikshit is more clever than Kali Purusha. Punascha yachamanaya jata roopam adat prabhu tato anritam madam kamam rajo vairam cha panchamam. Parikshit decides to grant the fifth place to Kali Purusha. Punascha yachamanaya. Parikshit says, I grant you the fifth place, and the fifth place is the seat of gold, he says. Jata Rupam Adhat Prabhu. Jata Rupam, where Anrita, falsity, Madam, pride, Kamam, lust, Rajaha, cruelty, Vairam, enmity, all of this exists. In a way, all the other four places that already were given to Kali Purusha is driven. In a way, this happens to be the source of all the other four evils. And what is that? Jata Rupam. Here, Jata Rupam is translated as gold, but we need to be very careful in understanding. Parikshit is not saying gold, the metal gold, is the source of all adharma. That is not the way to understand this. Gold here represents the greed for money, the greed for wealth. Where there is greed for money, that happens to be the source of all adharma. The greed for money translates and manifests into corruption that we see, which is rampant, that has become the DNA of the society in Kali Yuga. When there is greed, even the wealthy become poor and needy. Biological hunger is a need, but sensual hunger is the greed. So in today's society, we clearly see that it is greed that drives every activity in society. Selfishness and greed have become the DNA of today's society. And therefore, this is the source of every other form of evil, angrita, falsity, treachery. In a way, Dyutam is related to greed, gambling with resources in order for accumulating things at any cost. Panam is also rooted in greed for more and more pleasures, misdirected search for lasting pleasures. Lust is also rooted in greed for continuously fulfilling desires. Suna, slaughter of animals, is also greed for fulfilling bodily needs, biological hunger. Therefore, greed is the source of all other evils. And Parikshit says, this is the fifth place where you can reside. Tato anritam madam kamam rajo vairam cha panchamam. Therefore, with this, the message that Parikshit also gives, not only to Kali, but to everyone at large, is that whoever is concerned with their welfare needs to be very careful not to succumb to these 5 evils. The moment one succumbs to any of these 5 evils, one comes under complete control of Kali Purusha. Having thus given Kali 5 places to reside, Parikshit then restores all the legs of Dharma, who has manifested in the form of a bull. All the 4 legs: austerity, purity, compassion, and truth. He also reassures, comforts Mother Earth, and makes her once again prosperous. Parikshit therefore ensures that there is very limited place for Kali in his kingdom. And thus, Parikshit re-establishes Dharma and begins to rule wisely. Moving on to Adhyaya 18 of Pratama Skanda, we see how Suta summarizes Parikshit's glories. He summarizes, once again, recounts the glorious birth of Parikshit. He also talks about the eventual death and the circumstances under which it may happen. And also, he summarizes Parikshit's dealings with Kali. Parikshit, as in the process, Suta also says how Parikshit eventually died because of a curse. And before that, how Parikshit managed to control Kali and put Kali in place in his own kingdom. Suta says, Kimnu baleshu shurena kalina dhirabhiruna apramatta pramatteshu yovruko drishu vartate. Suta puts it very beautifully. He says, Kali is cowardly before the brave and brave before the cowardly. Ever since Parikshit put Kali Purusha in his place, it seems Kali became cowardly before the brave, he says. And he is brave before the cowardly. Who is brave? Who is truly courageous? Who is a Dhira? Who is the truly intelligent? The one who understands and discriminates between the body and the soul. He is a Dhira. He is the one who is intelligent. One who courageously practices one's dharma. He is a Dhira. He is the brave. Therefore, Kali is cowardly before the brave. The moment Kali sees that one is diligently practicing one's dharma, Kali, the coward, does not try to influence or control. But on the other hand, Suta says, The Kali Purusha is like a wolf waiting patiently to pounce on those who fail to practice dharma, those who are cowardly. Who are those who are cowardly? Those who are weak. Those who are weak, those who are unable to conquer their own senses, those who give in to their own bodily needs and pleasures, those who are ruled by their senses and mind, they are the ones who are weak. They are cowardly. They are the ones who are unable to practice dharma. And therefore, Kali becomes brave before these cowardly. And he pounces on them like a wolf and takes total control. But luckily for the people, until Parikshit was there, he tried to protect all the weak as well. And therefore, he put Kali Purusha in check. Therefore, Kali was also waiting for the day when Parikshit can also disappear. And that day was nearing by. Suta begins to discuss the various events that led towards Parikshit's disappearance. And in that process, the sages led by Shaunaka and Suta also happened to discuss the glories of Krishna, who was so very dear to Parikshit. How Parikshit ruled his kingdom by constantly contemplating only on Krishna. The beauty here is the sages here of Naimisharanya, whenever they get an opportunity, somehow or the other, whatever they keep discussing, they come back to the core topic of Krishna Katha. No, this is what happens. The best combination is when there are eager listeners and when there is a devotee speaker, when they come together, the outcome is the nectarine Krishna Katha. So therefore, in that process, we also see that Suta and the sages of Naimisharanya also discussing the glories of Krishna. And Suta expresses his humility, and as he discusses the glories of Krishna in the context of Parikshit's Krishna Bhakti, he also starts to recount the events that lead to the curse of Parikshit. It so happens that Parikshit, on a fine day, or rather I should say, on a day which is not so fine, he reaches the hermitage of sage Shamika. Sage Shamika, meditating in his ashrama, is approached by Parikshit, who happens to enter the ashrama, and Parikshit, in a moment of rare weakness, Parikshit has been going around traveling, overcome by thirst and hunger. Parikshit is uncharacteristically weak here, overcome by thirst and hunger. In that moment of weakness, he becomes angry. Why? He expects Shamika to receive him with due respects and offer him food and water. But when Shamika continues to be in a state of meditation, Parikshit gets triggered, and Parikshit is unhappy with Shamika, and at that moment of weakness, he decides to punish Shamika. He picks up a dead snake with his bow and places the snake around the sage's neck. And then, as he walks away, he knows that there is something very unnatural that has happened to him. He keeps contemplating whether the sage was really meditating, or was he feigning meditation just to avoid respecting him. And Parikshit goes back, analyzing what has happened. In the meantime, Shamika's son, virtuous son, Shringi, gets to know this incident while he was playing with his friends. And again, being a young boy, overcome with rage, he decides to curse Parikshit. Shringi decides to curse Parikshit, and he declares, this king whose behavior is unacceptable shall be bitten by the poisonous Takshaka, the snake, in the next 7 days, and he shall meet death soon. And when Shringi comes back to the ashram and meets his father, Shamika gets to know Shringi's curse, and Shamika is really worried and concerned. Shamika then expresses his disagreement, and he says, hey Shringi, you have committed a crime. Now, after all, Parikshit does not deserve such a curse. A glorious era is about to end that is going to bring all kinds of calamity to this kingdom. Knowingly or unknowingly, you have triggered the rise of adharma. You have triggered the strengthening of Kalipurusha in this kingdom. And therefore, Shamika ends up praying not only for his son Shringi, but also for Parikshit. And then in the concluding Adhyaya of Pratamaskanda, Adhyaya 19, we see how Parikshit expresses his resolve. Parikshit now understands, he gets to know this curse. He accepts the curse. In fact, he welcomes the curse. Parikshit knows that what is happening for good. Therefore, Parikshit takes a decision. Parikshit now knows that he has only 7 days to go. He has only 7 days, and therefore there is a limited time. He takes a decision to renounce everything and to start fasting and praying. As Parikshit reaches the banks of Ganga, begins his fast, and starts to pray, all the sages, all the rishis, several other kings from other kingdoms, all start to congregate around Parikshit. Tam mopayatam parityantu vipra Ganga cha devi data chittamishe vijo vasishtah kuhakas takshakova tashakvalam gayata vishnugata. Parikshit looks at all the sages, the rishis there, and addresses them. Please accept me. May all the sages, may Ganga, the holy Ganga, accept me, who has unknowingly committed a crime, who is now ready to reform. Accept me as your servant. Let me be bitten fatally by Takshaka. I do not care. I now know that I have 7 more days to die. But that I do not care. All I care for now is to only listen to the glories of Mahavishnu. Tashakvalam gayata Vishnu gata. The sages are very much pleased with Parikshit. They know that after all, Parikshit is the grandson of the glorious Pandavas. And therefore, renunciation has to come naturally to him. When one is truly devoted, renunciation comes naturally. And therefore, the sages appreciate Parikshit for the bold decision that he has taken. Appreciate him because he is not in fear of death. No fear whatsoever. All that Parikshit is now concerned is how he needs to spend the next 7 days. As Parikshit is contemplating on this question, and as he is having this conversation with all the sages, something magical happens. Everyone is now attracted by a divine sight. तत्रा भवत् भगवान् व्यासपुत्रः यदृच्छायागाम् आटमानो अनपेक्षः अलक्ष्यलिङ्गो निजलाभतुष्टः कृतश्च बालैर् अवधूतवेषाः. There walks in the great ascetic, the 16-year-old Shuka Brahma, the Avadhuta Brahmana. Avadhuta is one who has shaken away all worldliness. There is not an iota of worldliness left. He is an Avadhuta, supreme ascetic, who has shaken away all kinds of worldliness. And one cannot determine to which ashrama he belongs to because he is beyond the ashramas. The glorious Divyamangala Vigraha Shukha is so very attractive. He immediately becomes the center of attraction. Everyone is pleased that Shukha has arrived at that very scene. Parikshit is elated because he knows it is Krishna's will that has brought Shukha all the way to the banks of Ganga. Feeling extremely grateful, Parikshit surrenders to Shukha. Parikshit admits that he is unworthy to rule anymore. And all that he cares for now is to constantly remember Krishna. He says, it is because of Krishna that you are here. I know that, He Shukha. And it is only you and only you who can help me now. I only have 7 more days to go. What should I do now? What is that which is the supreme dharma of someone like me? Atat prichhami samsiddhim yoginam paramam gurum purushasyeha yat karyam mriyamanasya sarvatha. He says. Looking at Shukha, Parikshit says, hey Shukha, what is my duty? What is my dharma? Especially now at the time of death. I want to spend the next 7 days productively, fulfilling the mission of my life. And therefore, you and you alone can guide me and lead me on the right path. Shukha gives an enchanting smile. And then Shukha begins to answer and address Parikshit and everyone who have assembled, congregated there. Shukha's address forms the core of Bhagavatam. And with this, we conclude the Prathama Skanda, Canto 1 of Srimad Bhagavatam. Until we start the Dvitiya Skanda, let's continue to contemplate on the profound question that Parikshit asked, which is going to be answered by Shukha. What is one's utmost primary duty in life? What is one's dharma? Sarvam Sri Krishna. Namaste.